You're walking alone in the woods. It's quiet, too quiet. Suddenly, a twig snaps somewhere behind you and your brain does what it was born to do. It hits the big red panic button like a caffeinated meerkat. You freeze, your heart races, and your ears become superhero-tier microphones. Congratulations, you've just activated your ancient predator response system. A biological legacy from a time when hearing a rustle might have meant a tiger was doing pre-dinner stretches behind a tree. See, our ancestors didn't have Spotify or pepper spray. They had instinct, and that instinct was optimized for one thing, not getting eaten. So our brains evolved this hypersensitive fear radar, fine-tuned to react before we know what's going on. Better to freak out over a rabbit than shrug off a lurking lion, right? This is called hypervigilance, and it's the brain's way of saying, trust me, we don't have the luxury of second chances. Even today, when the only predator in your apartment is your judgmental cat, your brain still scans for threats like it's on a prehistoric episode of Survivor. The irony, that fear response gets triggered more by uncertainty than actual danger. Darkness, ambiguity, silence. Your brain fills in the blanks like a horror movie director with too much free time. So yeah, if you've ever sprinted out of a room after turning off the lights, you're not a coward. You're just the proud owner of a very old, very dramatic security system. Let's talk about why shadows are terrifying and why basements feel like murder caves. It's not logic. It's your brain's chronic fear of the invisible threat. We are hardwired to be terrified of things we can't see. Which is funny, considering most of the terrifying stuff out there, radiation, viruses, unpaid taxes, is invisible. But back in caveman days, the unseen danger usually meant something with teeth. A rustle in the grass, a whisper in the dark. The knowledge that something could be there was enough to hijack your nervous system and make your adrenaline do backflips. Psychologists call this agent detection theory. Basically, your brain assumes that anything ambiguous, like a shape in the dark, is probably a living, breathing predator because assuming probably nothing was a great way to become saber-toothed chow. This is why horror movies work so well. The monster you don't see is scarier than the one you do. It's also why walking to the bathroom at 3 a.m. feels like you're being hunted by the ghost of poor sleep hygiene. So next time you flinch at a creak in the floorboards, remember, your brain isn't being paranoid. It's being historically consistent. There's no lion, no ghost, no creepy whisper, just you, standing near a cliff, and suddenly your legs feel like overcooked spaghetti. Your brain starts whispering, hey, what if you just jumped? No, you're not secretly suicidal. This delightful moment is called the high place phenomenon, and it's a real thing studied by actual psychologists. The theory? Your brain is doing a weird fail-safe system check. It's like a safety drill where the fire alarm makes you imagine catching fire. Your brain is basically saying, just double-checking that we're not gonna yeet ourselves into the abyss. Cool, cool. This same instinct shows up when you lean over balconies, walk on narrow bridges, or stand near subway tracks. That flash of fear, that mental scream, it's your ancient survival software going, whoa, gravity is waiting to end us. Let's not. Of course, this doesn't stop thrill seekers and daredevils, but even they get the gut punch. Because while your modern brain knows there's a safety harness, your lizard brain is screaming, wrong. Danger, bad time. So if heights make you queasy, congrats, you're not weak. You're just an updated model of a human who used to avoid falling off cliffs, and we appreciate them for that. You ever feel someone staring at you and then turn around to find someone actually staring at you? Yeah. That's not paranoia, that's biological paranoia. Your brain evolved to be very, very good at detecting eyeballs. Specifically, eyeballs directed at you. It's called gaze detection, and humans are absolute pros at it. Why? Because being watched used to mean you were being targeted. Whether it was a hungry predator or an angry tribesperson, unwanted attention was rarely a compliment. This is why public speaking makes people sweat like they're giving a TED talk in a sauna. And why being the center of attention, even in a meeting, can make your body react like it's preparing for trial by combat. And here's the kicker. We're so good at sensing stares, we often detect them even when they're not real. Your brain would rather be wrong 50 times than miss that one time a leopard's eyeballs were locked on your skull. So if you're ever out in public and get that creepy being watched vibe, don't ignore it. Either your primal instincts are working, or you're just in a Starbucks full of judgmental laptop users. Either way, you win. Fire is cozy, fire is beautiful, fire is also extremely good at turning humans into crispy marshmallows, and your brain has not forgotten. You'd think we'd be cool with fire by now. I mean, we've had it for about 400,000 years, give or take a few charred eyebrows. But no, stand too close to a campfire and your body will still tense up like you're about to be thrown in as a sacrifice to the gods of poor decision-making. This is because fire triggers a deep, ancient fear of pain and destruction. Flames meant danger long before they meant dinner, and back then there was no such thing as a controlled burn. If you saw fire, it meant something was going terribly wrong, or about to. Your ancestors didn't have fire insurance or safety codes. They had gut terror. So your body evolved to treat fire with the caution of a cat seeing a cucumber. Even today, kids instinctively avoid it, animals panic around it, and adults tend to hover around it with just enough curiosity to get slightly singed. The irony is, fire is also what made civilization possible. It cooked our food, lit our nights, and probably inspired the first existential crisis. Why is it dancing, Greg? So yes, fire built our world, but your nervous system still sees it as a flashy orange death demon. Some things never change. You don't need to have ever met a snake or spider to be viscerally repulsed by them. Just a picture of one can trigger a delightful full-body panic response, like your skin's trying to file for emancipation. This isn't just a fear, it's an evolutionary hate campaign. Psychologists call it prepared learning. Your brain is primed from birth to associate certain shapes and movements with danger. Think about it, snakes slither, spiders skitter. Your brain sees weird movement and goes, absolutely not, get that thing away from my soft, biteable body. And here's the creepy part. Even infants, who have never been harmed by anything more dangerous than gravity, show increased attention and distress around snake-like or spider-like shapes. That's how deep this wiring goes. Why? Because for thousands of years, venomous creatures were the real jump scares of the animal kingdom. They were small, sneaky, and specialized in turning humans into cautionary tales. And no, it doesn't matter that most modern spiders are harmless or that snakes are just trying to live their best lives. Your brain doesn't want to hear about it. It just wants to climb a chair and scream until someone with a shoe shows up. Basically, your fear of these creatures isn't a flaw. It's ancestral prejudice passed down through 500 generations of people who really didn't want to die from a bite on the ankle. You ever notice how total silence makes you weirdly anxious? Like not peaceful quiet, but that dead quiet where even the air feels like it's holding its breath. That's not just imagination. That's your ancient survival radar going full DEFCON 1. In the wild, silence wasn't peaceful. It was ominous. Birds stopped chirping. That meant something big, scary, and probably toothy was nearby. Predators don't exactly sing show tunes when they're on the hunt. So when nature got quiet, early humans knew to shut up and listen, or possibly die in the next 5 minutes. Your body still reacts that way. In absolute quiet, your hearing sharpens. Your heartbeat feels louder. Your thoughts get weird. Some people even experience auditory hallucinations when deprived of sound for too long. Because nothing says evolutionary fun like hearing imaginary whispers. This is also why horror movies love silence. It's not the screaming or the stabbing that freaks you out. It's that long pause before anything happens. Because silence doesn't mean safety. It means something's coming and your ancient brain is just sitting there whispering, brace yourself. So yeah, if quiet rooms freak you out, they should. That instinct kept your ancestors from becoming dinner. Let's talk about the dark. Not the mood lighting in a bar kind of dark. I mean real darkness. The void, the absence of all things, the place where socks, shame, and sanity go to die. Why does your brain instantly fill it with horror? Because darkness is the original jump scare. In prehistoric times, night meant vulnerability. You couldn't see. You couldn't defend yourself. And things with better night vision were out there thinking you looked like a value meal. Your brain, smart little meat sponge that it is, learned to associate darkness with threats. Not possible threats, automatic ones. That rustling in the bushes at noon might be a breeze. That same rustle at night, it's a serial killer with night vision goggles and a grudge. Darkness strips away context. Your senses become unreliable. And when the brain lacks input, it creates input. Which is why shadows seem to move, and why your bathrobe hanging on the door suddenly looks like a Victorian ghost trying to reclaim the house. The kicker, even people who aren't afraid of the dark still react to it. Heart rate increases. Adrenaline trickles in, you're ready to fight something. Basically, your fear of the dark is your brain's way of lighting a metaphorical torch and screaming, "I'm not dying for this. Show yourself." Spoiler alert, it's just your bathrobe. There's nothing like being shoulder to shoulder with hundreds of sweaty strangers to activate your inner cave person panic. And while today's crowd might just be a concert or a Black Friday sale, your brain doesn't care. It sees chaos, confusion, and a high chance of being trampled by something with Bluetooth headphones. See, our ancestors lived in small tribes, like 30 to 50 people max. That was the comfort zone. Everyone knew everyone. You could tell who was angry, who was dangerous, and who just stole your dried mammoth jerky. But in a crowd of hundreds, thousands, the brain goes, "I don't know these people, I don't trust them." One of them could be a sociopath with elbows. This triggers crowd anxiety, a mix of hypervigilance, claustrophobia, and social threat detection. Your brain is trying to track too many faces, too many signals, and it hates not knowing what's behind it. Throw in loud noises, no exit strategy, and people touching you without warning. You've got a prehistoric meltdown in the middle of a modern mosh pit. Even worse, crowds amplify emotion. One person panics, suddenly 10 people panic, and before you know it, your brain's whispering, "Herd stampede," even though you're just trying to find the bathroom at Comic-Con. So if big crowds make you sweat, snap, or suddenly forget how to breathe, congrats. You're a normal human with a 200,000-year-old crowd control problem. Here's a fun fact. Your brain treats social rejection the same way it treats physical pain. Like literally. The same parts of your brain light up when someone insults you as when someone stabs you in the leg. Evolution said, "Yep, emotional paper cuts hurt now." Why? Because in the ancient world, being kicked out of the group wasn't just embarrassing. It was lethal. You didn't survive alone. No tribe meant no food, no fire, no protection, and no one to laugh at your terrible mammoth jokes. So your brain evolved to treat social exclusion as a full-blown emergency. This is why being ghosted feels like you've been psychologically slapped with a frozen fish, and why people stay in awful relationships instead of risking loneliness. Your brain isn't making a moral choice. It's just trying not to die alone in the snow. Modern life hasn't caught up with that instinct. Today, being left out might mean not being invited to a party or getting 2 likes on a photo of your dinner. But your brain still acts like you're on the verge of tribal exile. So the next time a friend leaves you on read, and you feel a sudden wave of heartbreak and hunger, that's not you being dramatic. That's your evolutionary alarm system going, "We're gonna die cold and alone unless we fix this group status like yesterday." Thanks, brain. You're sitting peacefully, sipping your overpriced coffee when suddenly, bang, a car backfires, or a door slams, or your toaster decides to betray you with a surprise pop. Instantly, you flinch, your heart launches into orbit, and your brain, like the end is here. That's called the startle response, and it's one of your body's oldest panic moves. Why? Because unexpected loud noises used to mean incoming danger. Falling trees, charging predators, rival tribes launching surprise, friendly greetings with spears. Noise meant motion. Motion meant risk. Risk meant run or die. The startle reflex is so baked into your brain that it even triggers when you're asleep. Ever had a dream where you're falling and you jolt awake like someone dropped you off a cliff? That's your body testing the emergency brakes, just in case. And let's not forget jump scares in movies. They bypass logic completely. Your eyes may know it's just a horror film, but your amygdala doesn't. It's too busy screaming, "The demoness in the closet, get out now." The wild part? Startle responses are unconscious. You can't train them away. Your body reacts before your brain even processes the sound. It's like owning a hyper-anxious bodyguard who throws you under the couch the moment someone sneezes too hard. So next time you flinch at a balloon pop, just smile and remember, your body is doing a loyalty speedrun in defense of your life. Ah, the ocean. Vast, beautiful, and full of things that would 100% eat you without a second thought. Fear of deep water isn't just about drowning, it's the fear of what's beneath you. The dark, the unknown, the fact that literally anything could be brushing past your legs right now and you'd never see it coming. This primal dread is called thalassophobia, and it's got roots deeper than the Mariana Trench. Our ancestors didn't have scuba gear or marine biologists. They just had legends. And those legends almost always started with, "Then something pulled him under and he was never seen again." Your brain isn't built for three-dimensional threats. On land, everything's horizontal, left, right, forward, back. But in water, attacks come from below, from the abyss, from whatever that is. And don't get started on still water like lakes. Your brain sees calm surfaces and thinks, that's not peaceful, that's suspicious. Even knowing that most marine creatures are harmless doesn't help. Your brain sees vast blue emptiness and goes, that's death soup. So if you've ever dipped your toe in a lake and instantly imagined a kraken wrapping around your leg, don't worry. That's not weird. That's survival programming with a vivid imagination. You're walking alone. It's broad daylight, no rustling, no danger, but still you feel it. That slow, creeping sensation that someone's behind you, watching, waiting. You turn around, nothing. Welcome to your brain's favorite useless superpower, the paranoid sixth sense. This isn't just imagination. It's a combo of ancient pattern detection, anxiety, and your brain trying really hard to not let you get ambushed like a medieval NPC. Early humans who ignored weird feelings often became tiger snacks, the ones who overreacted and bolted at every rustle. They lived long enough to pass down their twitchy genes to you. That hyper-awareness is deeply embedded in your survival software. It's the mental equivalent of clutching your phone a little tighter when someone walks behind you, or checking the back seat of your car like you're in a low-budget horror movie. Ironically, the more modern and safe your environment is, the more your brain tries to invent problems to keep its job. That mild unease walking down a hallway, your mind running a ghost simulation, that elevator ride alone at night. Cue mental reruns of every thriller you've ever watched. So no, you're not crazy. You're just the descendant of a long line of anxious bipeds who flinched their way to survival. Thanks, Grandma. You ever stare at yourself in the mirror just a little too long and suddenly think, wait, do I always look like that? Congrats, you've just brushed up against the edge of your own uncanny valley. See, mirrors mess with your brain because you're almost looking at another person, but not quite. It's you, but reversed, static, and silently judging. And if you stare too long, your brain starts to get nervous. It expects subtle movement, symmetry, something. Instead, it gets a weird loop of your own face doing nothing, and it starts glitching like an old webcam. There's even a psychological effect called the strange face illusion. If you stare at your reflection in low light for too long, your brain starts distorting your features. You might see shadows, warping, or even other faces entirely. Why? Because your brain's visual system starts to fill in the blanks when the input becomes too repetitive. Fun bedtime experiment. Stare into your bathroom mirror for 10 minutes in the dark. Just don't blame me if you start seeing your third-grade teacher's face blinking back at you. The takeaway? Mirrors are fine for fixing your hair or admiring that one good eyebrow. But stare too long, and your ancient brain starts thinking you're talking to a possessed twin from another dimension. Because apparently, your reflection is also a threat. Here's the ultimate ancient fear baked into your wrinkly gray brain. You are never truly safe. And no, this isn't to bum you out, it's just a weird biological truth. Your body and mind evolved in a world of constant low-level threat. Saber-toothed tigers, starvation, betrayal, natural disasters, plagues, that one guy in the tribe who definitely gave off murdery vibes. So even today, surrounded by Wi-Fi, oat milk, and 3 layers of security updates, your brain still acts like you're one wrong glance away from total annihilation. This explains why you can be lying in bed, cozy under blankets, knowing everything is fine, and your brain's like, remember that embarrassing thing you said in 2011? Yeah, let's spiral about that until 3 a.m. It explains irrational fears, jumpy reactions, doom scrolling, anxiety for no reason, and that lovely phenomenon called imposter syndrome. Because when your brain doesn't detect a real danger, it just makes one up so it can keep being useful. It's trying to protect you, but sometimes it's like hiring a bodyguard who thinks every houseplant is a hired assassin. So if you ever feel weirdly anxious, paranoid, or unsettled for no reason, take a breath. You're not broken. You're just carrying a 200,000-year-old operating system in a world that stopped matching its instincts a long time ago. And honestly, that's kind of beautiful,